August 24th, 2025. Ukrainian forces continue to push Russian troops out of the region and advance their operations. This time, a Ukrainian FPV drone targets a Russian soldier hiding among the bushes. The moment the soldier notices the approaching drone, he raises his hands, but it is far too late to escape or surrender. Russian soldiers attempting to hide from the drone are exposed. They first try to shoot it down, but their efforts fail, leaving them vulnerable to FPV strikes. A Ukrainian FPV drone operator targets Russian soldiers advancing on an ATV. The leading soldier notices the pursuing drone and accelerates, but the soldier behind the ATV watches in helplessness as the FPV drone closes in. A Ukrainian drone operator pursued a Russian soldier who believed he was hiding in a field. Unbeknownst to him, his position had already been detected. The FPV drone moved directly toward the target, leaving the soldier with no chance to escape. Two Russian soldiers on a motorcycle were targeted by an FPV drone of Ukraine's 414th UAV Brigade, the Birds of Magyar. The drone immediately launched its attack. The soldiers noticed it, but far too late. Russian soldiers, attempting to move faster and more easily across Ukraine's difficult frontline terrain, have turned to motorcycles. However, this method makes them easier targets for FPV drone attacks. A Russian sniper, expertly camouflaged, was detected by the Ukrainian 3rd Operational Brigade. After being observed for a short time, the moment the soldier moved, an FPV drone dropped a bomb directly on him, neutralizing the target with precision. Now, thermal camera footage captures the same strike, showing the Russian soldiers' movements more clearly. There was no chance of survival. Fiber optic FPV drones of the Muchiki UAS Battalion of the 57th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade carried out precise strikes against Russian soldiers in the Vovchansk direction. Russian soldiers trapped inside a building attempt to flee, but they fail. This time, two Russian soldiers thought they were hiding from the drone inside a building. However, the FPV drone moved directly toward them, tracking their positions with precision. Another Ukrainian UAV strikes the Novatek terminal in the port of Ust-Luga, Leningrad Oblast. Russian security forces open fire, desperately trying to shoot it down with small arms, but they fail. The drone reaches its target, hitting the strategic fuel and gas infrastructure deep inside Russian territory. A Russian soldier protecting his wounded comrade was spotted advancing across a field. The Black Sky drone unit first dropped a bomb on the soldier lying on the ground, then targeted the advancing Russian soldier with a second attack using a precision FPV drone. Ukrainian 413th UAS Battalion carried out a raid in the Kurakove-Pokrovsk direction, striking Russian logistics. FPV drones targeted supply vehicles and equipment, disrupting movement along the front. Russian soldiers, whose vehicles had been destroyed by drones, arrived on the scene in shock and fear, witnessing the aftermath of the precise FPV strikes. On a logistics route, an FPV drone lying in ambush spots a rapidly approaching Russian military vehicle. The drone locks onto the target, preparing for a precise strike. As of August 24th, 2025, Ukrainian forces have significantly increased drone strikes along Russian logistics routes. FPV drones relentlessly target supply convoys, striking military vehicles one by one as they attempt to reach the front lines. The attacks are precise, exploiting every moment the vehicles are exposed. It isn't just the vehicles. Russian infantry moving along these routes also become open targets, tracked and engaged with pinpoint accuracy. Operators use both speed and maneuverability of the drones to neutralize threats before they can react, systematically disrupting enemy logistics and limiting their ability to reinforce the front. Each strike adds pressure, forcing Russian units to slow down, scatter, or abandon their positions entirely, demonstrating the growing strategic impact of Ukrainian drone operations. Ukrainian 3rd Operational Brigade Spartan conducted precise FPV drone strikes in the Pokrovsk direction, taking out Russian soldiers caught in the open. The brigade's drone units continue to maintain pressure on enemy positions, targeting troop concentrations and preventing advances. Using thermal imaging, Ukrainian reconnaissance drones detected numerous Russian soldiers moving alone across open terrain, maintaining continuous attacks. Most of these soldiers are inexperienced, hastily armed recruits sent to the front. Each one, unable to respond effectively, is neutralized by FPV drones with precise strikes. The constant drone operations force Russian units to reconsider movement patterns, slowing advances and exposing vulnerabilities across the front. Ukrainian UAV Battalion of the Freedom of Russia Legion targeted and destroyed a Russian field depot. The strike eliminated stored supplies and disrupted logistics in the sector. The Ukrainian 414th Strike UAV Brigade carried out FPV and kamikaze drone strikes against Russian soldiers. They targeted moving units, isolated soldiers, and small groups with precision. FPV drones tracked enemy movements and launched rapid attacks, while kamikaze drones struck fortified positions and clustered troops. Soldiers attempted to hide or flee, but the drone's speed and maneuverability made escape impossible. Between August 22nd and 24th, 2025, the Black Sky Drone Strike Unit carried out multiple operations against Russian forces. Using FPV and kamikaze drones, they targeted advancing units, isolated soldiers, and supply vehicles along key logistics routes. The continuous operations of the Black Sky Unit demonstrated their ability to dominate battlefield areas, effectively supporting Ukrainian frontline efforts and neutralizing key artillery threats. Each attack disrupted troop movements, slowed reinforcements, and created gaps in Russian formations. Ukrainian Novem Group of the Ballista Special Forces launched a coordinated FPV drone strike in the Kursk region. A Russian Loaf, 2 cars, a truck, 2 antennas, and a buggy were destroyed in rapid succession. Another Loaf was also eliminated, as precision FPV drones dismantled both vehicles and communications equipment, further crippling Russian logistics and mobility in the area. All of these Ukrainian drone strikes have significantly slowed a much larger Russian force. Since the beginning of the conflict, Russian units have continued to suffer heavy losses when confronted by drones, highlighting the growing impact of UAV operations on the battlefield. On the front lines, Russian forces are now primarily focused on maintaining control of their positions, limiting offensive operations. Drone operators of the Ukrainian Border Guard UAS Regiment Phoenix struck in the Pokrovsk direction. A Russian D-20 howitzer, trucks loaded with ammunition and other military equipment were destroyed in precision FPV drone strikes. Military vehicles transporting ammunition to Russian trenches can no longer find safe routes. Nearly all roads are under the control of Ukrainian FPV drones. Even when signal jammers are used, fiber optic FPV drones intervene, tracking and neutralizing targets with precision. Ukrainian artillery units operating an M777 howitzer targeted and destroyed a Russian artillery gun along with a nearby ammunition storage site. Precision coordinates were calculated and multiple rounds were fired to ensure complete neutralization of both the weapon and the munitions. As of August 24, 2025, the Ukraine-Russia front remains intensely contested. Ukrainian forces have intensified drone and artillery operations, focusing on Russian logistics routes, frontline positions, and isolated units. FPV and kamikaze drones have systematically targeted Russian infantry, armored vehicles, and artillery emplacements, exploiting every exposed position with precision strikes. Even attempts to use camouflage, trenches, or signal jammers have been countered by fiber optic drones and advanced reconnaissance systems. Russian units now primarily focus on holding their current positions, with supply convoys struggling to reach the front due to constant UAV surveillance and attacks. Motorized and motorcycle units attempting faster movement are increasingly vulnerable, while isolated soldiers in open terrain are continuously tracked and neutralized. Ukrainian artillery continues to suppress Russian fire positions and ammunition depots, further limiting their offensive capabilities. Overall, the sustained drone and artillery operations have disrupted Russian troop movements, slowed reinforcements, and inflicted significant attrition, demonstrating the growing impact of UAV technology on the battlefield.